Welcome to the Carl B. Phillips Show, hosted by gospel music industry veteran, recording artist, songwriter, producer, radio announcer, and actor, Carl B. Phillips. Join Carl as he talks with gospel recording artists, producers, songwriters, pastors, and other creatives about music, ministry, and life. Get ready for another great conversation on the Carl B. Phillips Show.
This week's guest on the Carl B. Phillips Show, the director of Noize of Joy, the movie, Roderick Dickerson. Welcome to the Carl B. Phillips Show. Today's guest is a 30-year veteran in film, television, radio, and video production. He is a graduate of the Columbia School of Broadcasting and earned an All-American honors in track and field at Cal State University. He is the CEO and COO of iBox Film and Image Quest Film and Video. He's an ordained minister, and this August he is releasing the much anticipated documentary about Detroit independent gospel artist Noize of Joy, the movie. Please help me welcome Rodrick Dickerson. What's up, bro?
Hey, thank you, man. I really appreciate that introduction. The check is in the mail.
Check's in the mail. Oh, man. Can't wait to catch it.
Right. Thank you so much. And I just want to say I really appreciate you have given me this opportunity to be on your show, your amazing show, your television show, your podcast, your radio show. I mean, everything is phenomenal. And I'm just happy to be a part of it.
I'm so happy to have you here. Rod, let's start with you. Okay. Before the cameras and ministry, what was the toughest job you ever had, and what did it teach you?
Wow. I've always been able to conquer whatever God puts before me. I guess the toughest job I had was a meter reader for DTE. I had to deal with the elements, rain, sleet, hail, snow, or shine. I was out there reading those meters. And every time we had something happen, like somebody get bit by a dog or somebody get chased or whatever, the supervisor would always say, but did you get to read? Did you read the meter? In other words, I understand what happened, but did you get to read? So that probably was the toughest job I had. I'll be out there, like I said, rain, sleet, hail, snow, or shine. But I got to be real good at it. And I could do a route in like 3 hours. And got so good that where I would take out 2 routes and still be done before 8 hours up, and got paid double for it. So I really liked it when I was doing it.
Wow. I never would have thought you were a meter reader of all things. That's interesting, right? Right, a meter reader. Maybe that's what
I did go on to be a supervisor at one point.
When you get a break from filming, producing, and preaching, how do you like to relax?
Wow. I like some shows that I watch on a streaming platform. I'm not really a television guy. I used to be as a kid. I watched everything when I was a kid, Huckleberry Hound and all of the cartoons. But as I got older, wasn't really interested in television as much because I hated the commercials. But with streaming, you don't get all of that. So I generally will sit down and maybe go on YouTube and watch something interesting, some religious or sports or whatever. And I love sports, not all sports, but I love basketball, football, the basics. I used to like baseball until that was when I was playing baseball. I don't really like to watch it.
Baseball to me is one of the most boring sports.
Yeah, it really is.
I'm going to sit here for 3 hours while y'all play 9 innings. What?
I know. Don't let it go into extra innings. Oh, my goodness. And the score is 1-1.
And y'all got to go for it. I cannot handle watching baseball. As I've gotten to know you and kind of watch your social media account, one of the things that I've learned that family is a big part of your story.
Yeah.
What values have you worked hardest to pass on to your children?
Well, the main thing that I wanted them to know that as a father, you have to be just that. You have to be present. You have to be relatable. You have to be a provider. And so no matter, I went through a divorce, separation, then a divorce. But when my wife told me at the time that she wanted a divorce, I said, the first thing came out of my mouth was, well, I'm not going to be a part-time dad.
Hmm.
So the kids will be with me just as much as they'll be with you, because I knew at the age that they were, my oldest son entering high school and my youngest son entering middle school, I knew that they needed male presence from a
Mm.
father, and so I made sure that I would. And we used to have these man powwows when we go in the living room and just sit on the floor, and I talked to him about everything. I mean, I told him about credit, you name it, not just religious stuff, but life lessons, life skills. I tried to pour into him everything that I knew, and the areas where I messed up in my life. I wanted to give them the ammunition to be able to get past those things. It didn't work, but I tried.
One thing that I was looking at some of your past Instagram posts, and one of the things that stood out to me, you made a comment about there's nothing like being a granddad.
Oh yeah.
What has being a grandfather meant to you?
Oh, it's just a wonderful thing. It's something about kids understand that they have a grandfather that's present, that's take them out, special days, special trips or whatever. And they just embrace me and they just love on me. Granddaddy, granddaddy. Just to hear them say granddaddy is such an amazing thing to me. And it gives me an opportunity to pour into them as well, especially my grandson, which is Trey, which he's actually Roderick the third.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm going to get him behind the camera and on the mic and all of that stuff too. And then I have two granddaughters. My oldest granddaughter is Logan, and she's very smart. She's into sports. She ran track and all of that. So going to her track meets and going to see her play basketball, I supported her in that too. So it's amazing. And my youngest granddaughter, Sade, that's her mother's name, Charlotte.
Mhm.
Charlotte is her name, and she's probably 3 years younger than Trey. So they're about 3 years apart. But she's so smart, man. These kids are really smart these days.
Yeah, because they have access to a lot of information and they
Right.
grow up quickly. Do you allow your grandkids to get away with more than your children did?
Of course I do.
Why?
I don't know. Well, I told my son, I said, I know I'm out of bounds, and I say, I know you're not going to really listen to what I'm telling you, but I don't want you whipping no daughters. Keep the belt on the boys, but not the girls. But I know, he looked at me funny like, Dad, come on now. They need a whooping too sometime. I said, well, maybe they do, but I'm just telling you, I don't want to know about it.
You don't want to be around when,
No, I
but
don't want to see my granddaughters get spanked at all,
you,
or even chastised for that matter.
as soon as they come to you crying, what's going to happen?
Uh, I'm gonna hug them and tell them, hey, you can't do that no more. Your dad didn't like that. That was wrong. I will tell them what to do, but I won't spank them.
You talked about your granddaughter doing track and field and things
Mhm.
like that. You also made a mark in track and field. How
Yeah.
did you get your start in track, and when was the last time you ran?
Oh, wow. Ooh, too long ago. Well, I was actually trying to work out again a couple of years ago. I had this amazing idea. I say amazing, probably some dumb, crazy idea that I wanted to get myself back in shape to just film myself going over a couple hurdles. That's all I wanted to do, just go over about two hurdles, maybe three. And so I started back working out. And I know what it takes to be an athlete. I know mentally what it takes, but my body rejected all of that. I'm too old for it. I ended up in the hospital when I had blood clots in my legs that ended up in my lungs,
Oh
and
my
I could
goodness.
have died from that actually.
Wow.
And I was in the hospital for about 6, 7 days. They had me on blood thinner to get the clots out. Man, it was an ordeal. But the last time I actually competed probably was over 30 years ago. And I got started in track because I was a fan of Bob Hayes. Bob Hayes that played for the Dallas Cowboys back in the
Mhm.
day. He was also an Olympic gold medalist in, I think it was the 68 Olympics or 72 Olympics, something like that. And I just loved the way he ran. He was kind of like a rough guy, and so I kind of patterned myself after him. But when I got to Persian high school to try to run, my coach just thought I was too skinny to be a sprinter.
Mm-hmm.
And long story short, he wouldn't allow me to sprint. And so I taught myself how to run hurdles because I saw my other two friends, they had pretty decent form, but they were slow. And I said, nah, I know I can beat them.
Mm-hmm.
And so my dad actually made some hurdles for me and taught myself how to run hurdles during the summer and came back and became all cities. I was undefeated pretty much the whole year and went on to get a scholarship and ran track, made All-American, made the Olympic trials. And so, and I pretty much in high school, I only ran 1 year.
Wow. So that kind of tells us why you were a good meter person, because if something happened, you already knew how to run.
That's correct. Because I was jumping fences. I'm not going to lie. I was jumping fences.
So here's another fun question. I kind of know what the answer is going to be. Would you rather be an Olympic gold medalist or an astronaut?
Olympic gold medalist. That's an easy one. Yeah, there's nothing out there for me unless I can get to heaven somehow, but I don't think they've tried. They can barely get past the moon.
So you don't want to you don't want to be like, I don't need to land on the moon. I don't need to go.
No, not at all.
Don't need to go to Mars. I don't need to circle the Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just run on Earth.
Right. And I love the Discovery Channel. And a lot of times when they talk about going to places like that, if they were able to get to those places and back, most of your family would be gone.
Yeah.
There ain't no sense in going out there.
Be out there by yourself.
Yeah.
Be on the dark side of the moon, just you and the moon. Like, you know,
That's it.
Let's kind of go from track to camera.
Okay.
How did you first get into film and production?
It's kind of a strange story. I had no idea that I would be in film and video. Had no desire, didn't know anything about it. My main desire was to be a radio announcer. Mm-hmm. And when I went to California and went to broadcast communication school at Columbia School of Broadcasting, that's what I went for, to become a radio announcer. Got a job my first year, I hadn't even graduated, got a job at KGFA 91.1 FM, where I was an on-air personality and the music director. And I DJ'd parties and, made some extra money, bought my own equipment. And it wasn't until I came back home that somebody mentioned Don Barton. And they said, yeah, you got to get with Don Barton. He's got some things going on now, Barton Cable. And at that time, he had a advanced production class. Right. And actually, in order to be on one of his local origination stations, you had to complete the class. So I completed the class, learned how to work the truck, production, and everything. Those big, heavy cameras, had all of that. So that's really where it began. And I was, like I said, I was working for DTE at the time. And we were sitting, me and the other supervisor, we were sitting in the office. A lot of magazines would come in. There was a Video Maker magazine that came in. I looked at it. I said, man, we should buy some cameras and start filming weddings on the weekend, make some extra money. Mm-hmm. I ordered mine right after I finished talking to him. And that weekend we were filming. And it seemed like I've been filming ever since. Just updating the equipment, though.
Barton Cable. I remember back in the day, I can't remember who I was working with, but I remember doing some Barton Cable shows. It was never sitting around gospel music. I want to say it was one of the Futch brothers, if I remember. I can't remember now, but it's so many years ago. But that brings back a lot of great memories with Barton Cable and Michael Jackson and Don Barton trying to do an amusement park. Remember that?
Yes, I do. That would have been awesome, too.
Most definitely. Which film or production projects helped shape your career the most?
Probably the one that I'm working on right now, Noize of Joy, the movie. It's the most challenging production I've ever done. I've worked on about anywhere from 7 to 10 or 15 productions, movie productions. They weren't mine. And, sometimes I might work with cameras. Sometimes I might do editing. I've done just about everything. Held the boom mic, whatever it was that they needed me to do. But I was learning on the job. It was like on the job training. And I was saying because really I never wanted to be a video for hire.
Mm-hmm.
It just paid the bills. I really wanted to produce my own projects, but I was learning and I was acquiring better equipment. And then once I finally thought, I said, you know what, I got some cinema cameras now. You know, I can shoot in 6K, I can shoot in RAW. Let's do it. Plus, I got all of this footage that didn't make it to the television shows, some great interviews like yourself and many others. And so, yeah, this is the most challenging project I've ever worked on.
So, I've known you for a while, and
Yeah.
outside of the project, you've also worked on videos, including my video
Oh,
"Helping
yeah.
Help Us All." Who are some of the other gospel artists that you've worked on their videos?
Well, Darius Twyman, I did his music video. Dr. Tony Booker, quite a few. I've probably done about 10 gospel music videos, and then I've done some R&B videos, some jazz, and a couple of blues videos too, which were real fun.
My
And
baby, she don't love me.
right.
She left me high and dry.
That's pretty much it. Yeah. So, but I've done a lot of videos. I also do TV commercials, promo videos, content creation, podcasts. I do some of that. I have a client that's actually in the same building I'm in. I do her podcast pretty much once a week. So I'm pretty well versed in the video production. I try to do everything. Somebody asked me, can you do it? I say, yes, no matter what it is. If it's got something to do with video, if I don't know how, haven't done it before, I'll find out how to do it. Even if it means partnering with somebody, I never say no.
Mm. You talked a little bit about your television show, Noize of Joy, which was before the movie. Talk a little bit about what someone can expect when they're watching Noize of Joy, the TV show.
Okay. Well, Noize of Joy, the TV show, really comes from my idea, well, let me just say this. I love Entertainment Tonight.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a magazine show, and it highlights the various entertainers in various fields, from music to acting to everything, entertainment. And so I kind of patterned Noize of Joy, the television show, after that.
Mm-hmm.
But the difference between Entertainment Tonight and Noize of Joy, the TV show, obviously is gospel, but you get to see actual performances on the show,
Right.
not like Entertainment Tonight. You just might get a real quick hit. Everything is quick. But you actually get to see people perform. And what I would do is, I had an opportunity to interview some of the top gospel artists like a Kurt Franklin, and what I would do is, by putting them on the show, that would draw the audience who knows Kurt Franklin. He's a national treasure, basically. But
Mm-hmm.
I would strategically put the independent artists, especially from Detroit, on that same show so that
Right.
they would get the exposure that they needed too.
When can we expect a new season of Noize of Joy, the TV show?
Immediately following the premiere, we'll be back on television.
Good answer.
Right. And I'm hoping to get back on TV20. But there are other various platforms. I'm aiming to get back on WNYD Detroit TV20.
From Noize of Joy, the TV show, now Noize of Joy is becoming a movie. What inspired the documentary, and what message do you hope people will leave with?
Well, there's two messages, maybe three, I guess. One of the main focuses, I want the world to know that Detroit is still the gospel capital of the world.
Right.
It's not just the Winans, and not just the Clark sisters. It's not just Vanessa Bell Armstrong, whom you named in the documentary. You have a wealth of knowledge when it comes to citing some of the top gospel artists and where they got their start from, and you did an amazing interview. But I want people to go beyond that. I want people to know that, hey, we still have great talent. We have great writers, great producers like yourself, and I want them to become household names just like anybody else that has that type of talent. So that's one thing. But I also want people to see the struggle.
Mm-hmm.
This is not an easy cakewalk, as you know. And it takes a lot of money. It takes a lot of perseverance. It takes a lot of prayer. It takes a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. And many nights or many days, people are out there performing and their hearts out. They got people shouting and crying and praising God. And then they go home to a house where the lights might be getting cut off,
Right.
or car might be repossessed, or their health may be failing, but yet they're still inspiring people. And then my own personal challenges, where I'm out here trying to put a show together. I'm having my own personal challenges. I mentioned that I got a divorce, and that was because my wife at the time, probably rightfully so. She was like, "You're putting all this effort and all this time into this. I'm not seeing the money, and the lights getting cut off. What's going on?" And I'm just still going out there, But when I first started Noize of Joy, the television show, I was doing pretty well as far as financially, because it was a different time. It was a different area. You didn't have all of this social media. You didn't have everybody that can put out a cell phone, and anybody, just about everybody can create their own videos. Now you got AI. We didn't have all of that back then.
How does the movie share your journey into ministry?
Well, it shares it quite a bit because, the very opening scene, I'm actually preaching a sermon entitled Noize of Joy, but it's actually also my love letter. I'm preaching a sermon, but I'm also providing a love letter to all of the independent gospel artists who inspired me, who helped me get back on my feet. Because the real story is I actually tried to take my life. Wow. And because when I came back from California, I felt as though I was a failure. I didn't get my degree. I lost my job at the radio station, no fault of my own, but the station ended up getting sold, became a country and western station. I don't know anything about country and western. Came home, and Detroit was in a turmoil. I didn't know for many years. My father was out of work. He worked for Chrysler. He was able to retire after 45 years, but there was a lot of stress, a lot of home trauma. And all of that just made me feel like I knew I was called to ministry, but I felt as though, God, you cannot use me. Wow. And I'm going to get myself out of here before you even try to use me. I'm not living right. I'm not in the Word. I didn't even know John 3:16 at that time. And I just felt like, no, this is ridiculous. How am I going to get into ministry? So like I said, I took some sleeping pills and drank some wine and driving around and waiting on something to happen. And then it finally happened when I stopped at the gas station on Greenfield and Schoolcraft to get some gas. I don't even remember if I got gas. All I remember is that I could not drive the car. I ended up in the middle of the street. And by the grace of God, someone who recognized my car saw me. They were banging on the window. I was passing out, probably dying. And they got an ambulance, got me to the hospital, and had the worst thing ever happen to me was my stomach being pumped. Oh my God, that was horrible. But it was like I looked at Satan and I said, you have manipulated me for the last time. Whatever God wants me to do, if I live, I'm going to do it. And then God, I said, Lord, if you just let me live. And I felt God in my spirit just say, peace, be still. And I had somewhat of an out-of-body experience. I could see myself lying there, but I didn't feel no more pain no more. And the next morning was Sunday. I went to church. Probably still had on the same clothes that I was partying with the night before. Went to Pleasant Grove Baptist Church, and when Pastor Odell Jones said the doors of the church was open, I got up and I told him I've been called to the ministry. Wow. And been a minister ever since. It's been over 30 years now. And I haven't had any kind of idea about taking my life. I'm glad to be here. Life is a very precious thing, and purpose is an amazing thing when God purposed something in your life, which He's given us all a purpose.
And this story is a part of the movie.
Correct. Oh, so when I before I preached my trial sermon, I'm glad you mentioned that. Before I preached my trial sermon, they gave me a couple of checks to go to Dixon's Bible bookstore and, get some Bibles, some concordance, dictionaries, different things that would help me put a trial sermon together and to help me study. And there was a gentleman by the name of David Ivy who worked there. He went on to sing with Radical for Christ Choir for Fred Hammond. but he knew all of the independent gospel artists. I mean, he knew everybody. And I was like, well, who is this? Who is it? And he would tell me, he said, this is on. And so I must have bought about 20 cassettes and took them home and was listening to all of them and just fell in love. I couldn't believe the songs and the sound and the worship that was poured into these lyrics and the melody. And so then I started calling the radio stations and requesting these songs. And they're like, that's not a part of our playlist. And I'm like, why? Well, it's just not. And I'm calling every radio station I can. I do remember Martha Jean the Queen playing some of that stuff. There were a few others that may have played, but mostly they weren't being played. And so at that time, I started going to Comcast production school, and I said, you know what? I got a camera. I'm gonna start doing something with it. I didn't know what I was gonna do, but I remember I did an interview with actually I was doing commercials for Thomas Whitfield when he had a concert here. So I became like the voice of the concerts. It used to be Daryl Ford. I kind of took his place when he became an on-air personality because I worked at WMUZ Radio at that time. And so I got to meet all of the people that I was loving on, and from the independent to the mega stars, I got to meet all of them. And that really kind of just created this desire to put a television show together. And finally put a show together, put it on Comcast, Channel 79, local origination. Man, it exploded. It did so well. I couldn't believe how well it did. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, I got taken off the air. This is a sad story. I hate to tell it, but I'm going to tell it. A friend of mine, a very good friend of mine, had a show on. He had several shows on, but he wasn't really making any money. And he was asking me, could I produce his show? And I was like, my brother, you really can't afford me. I said, look, let me have your Sunday, because I want to put a show on. He's like, oh, really? What's the show? It's called Noize of Joy. And I don't know how that came out of my mouth. I just said, Noize of Joy. And so I had the show on for about a month. I'm doing well. I'm getting views. I'm making money because the artists were paying to have a live performance video. And as an added bonus, I would play it on the show. And so, I'm getting calls. I'm doing like $300-400 times 10 almost every time the show comes on. And so he thought he could take my slot since it was his contract and he owned that day, really, took my show off and put a gospel show on in his name. And I was sitting there with my wife at the time, and I'm like, I've been trying to catch up with this guy to give him, the 3/4 tape back then. And I keep calling. I said, believe me, the show won't be on the air today. She said, you think he would do that? I said, he's going to do it. And so I was off the air, and I really got despondent with the whole idea. So it took me about another 10 years before I finally came back with Noize of Joy and put it on WNYD Detroit TV 20. Also had it on the Rhema Television Network. Bishop and Shanita Lloyd, the co-founders of the Rhema Television Network, had it on there too. And probably will put it back on there as well.
Well, getting back to the movie, who are some of the artists that you feature in the movie?
Well, the top artists that I feature, I'm going to say this, Carl. There's about 45 artists that are going to be seen in the movie.
Okay.
Of course, all of them don't have equal time, but the goal is to try to get all of them in there. Everybody that you've seen a flyer on social media, they're in there somehow. But some of the top artists are like yourself, Darius Twyman, Michael Mendenhall, Dr. Tony Booker, Jay Bethel, and Spoken For. There's at least 10 top gospel artists who are really doing well as far as their Dr. Eloquent Weaver II and the Hallelujah Singers. He's an Emmy Award-winning gospel sensation. So I'm the only one who filmed him getting the Emmy.
Oh, wow.
So that's in the movie too.
So when does the movie premiere? How can people attend, and how can they get tickets? All
right. We closing in on it, Carl. August the 21st, 2026. That's like next Friday, isn't it? Not this coming Friday, but the following Friday, August the 21st. Now we're going to have an amazing festival. It's not just the movie. From 4 p.m. and it's at the Northwest Activity Center, Paul Robeson Theater, and also the ballroom, the main ballroom across the hall. So I'm gonna start with the main ballroom. The main ballroom is where we're going to have the majority of the festivities. We're going to have starting at 4 o'clock. We begin with our vendors appreciation. They're going to have some amazing things to sell, even food. Some beautiful purses and just about anything you can name that they're selling it there. And along with that, we have a podcast by Rachel Cash, the Rachel Cash Experience. And she does a lot of podcasts from various entertainers, from hip hop artists to gospel to jazz, you name it. She covers it all. And Tisha J, who's really the celebrity host of Noize of Joy, she's going to be doing the red carpet and interviews as well. A group by the name of BSG exclamation point. Mm-hmm. They're a gospel group. They have kind of an R&B bluesy flavor to their music. They're going to be performing pretty much the entire night up until the movie starts. And then somewhere as we come close to 6 o'clock, my brother David Whitfield and Whitfield Productions are going to premiere that newly released hit. And so I can't wait to hear that. And somewhere in there, either before or after, we're going to celebrate and say happy birthday to yours truly. And we're going to cut the cake. And then following that, the movie comes on promptly from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Noize of Joy, the movie. So it's going to be a wonderful night. I anticipate a huge crowd coming out. Tickets are really selling now. To get tickets, you can give me a call, actually, at 313-419-2544, 313-419-2544. Or you can go on Event Noir, eventnoir.com, look up Noize of Joy, the movie. Tickets can be sold there. It's $30 for the theater experience. The theater experience gets you everything. You're not confined to just the theater. You have access to the theater and the ballroom. Everything that's going on, you have access to. And that's a $30 ticket. You have the comfortable theater seating. We're going to have a huge monitor wall, which is about 15 feet long, 10 feet tall. The acoustics and sound is going to be amazing. And also, you can actually write me a check if you want to, or you can cash app me. My cash app is $capital R, small C, as in cat, small D as in dog, then 1220. That's my cash app. And a lot of people have been cash apping me today, actually. And, when it gets down to the wire, people start buying tickets.
Yeah, I bought mine last night.
All right. So make sure you get yours. Not you, I'm saying the viewers.
I know.
And then there's, like I said, you can write a check. You can send that check to iBox Films, LLC. My address is 20245 West 12 Mile Road, Suite 220. I'm in Southfield, Michigan, 48076. So those are the ways to get tickets.
So again, that's Noize of Joy. The movie premieres August 21st, 2026. The movie will be shown at 7 o'clock p.m. The activities start at 4 o'clock p.m. at the Northwest Activity Center Theater and Ballroom, 18100 Myers Road in Detroit. Tickets available again at eventnoir.com or by calling 313-419-2544. What is the best?
Sorry about that. There's one other place they can get tickets. I don't know why I left this out. God's World.
You didn't say it, so I didn't say it neither.
God's World Superstore. We got some tickets over there waiting for you.
Yeah, that's right. You get tickets also at God's World. What's the best way for people to follow your work and stay connected with you?
It's real easy. You can just go to Facebook. I'm primarily a Facebook guy. I do Instagram too, but it's all under my name, Roderick Dickerson. You can just look me up, Rodrick Dickerson, or iBox Films, EYEBOX, one word, and Films, FILMS, LLC. So either one, iBox Films, or under my name, Rodrick Dickerson.
Before we close, Rod, what would you say to someone who has a dream but feels discouraged or think it might be too late?
Well, I feel like this. Thank you for asking me that question because this is something that I want to express in the movie. I was interviewed by Greg Dunmore from Pulse Beat TV, and he said, "What were the challenges?" And we all face challenges. Life is like either you just came out of a storm, or you're in a storm, or you're headed to a storm. So storms are going to come. There's no way around life. Life be lifing, as they say, right?
Right.
But when God has put something in you, he's going to provide for you. You got to know that if God gave it to you, he's going to provide for you everything you need. Because I'm going to tell you something, when God inspired me and he gave me this vision, the first thing I said, Lord, I don't know. I don't have no money. These people don't really know me. I'm not really in the gospel community. And I wasn't when I first started. Everybody pretty much knows me and I know everybody now. But when I first started, they didn't know who I was. God said, throw out the net. I'll fill it up. I'll put a Carl B. Phillips in that net. I'll put a Darius Twyman in that net. I'll put WNYD Detroit TV in that net. I'm going to do it. You just be obedient. So that's what I'm saying to the people that are watching. Just be obedient and do what you can do as if there is no God.
Wow.
And then let God do all that he can do that you just cannot do. He will get you through.
That's a sermon right there.
And guess what? And what's weird? A verse popped in my head. And you said that. It's Philippians 1:6. I am confident of this very thing, that he who began a work in you, he will perform it until the day of Jesus Christ. He will.
Now, if I show up somewhere and you start preaching that, I know where you got that from.
Right.
Started from.
Amen.
Again, guys, we are talking with Roderick Dickerson. His movie, Noize of Joy, the movie, will be premiering on August 21st, 2026 at the Northwest Activity Center. Again, tickets available at God's World, Event Noir, or by calling 313-419-2544. Always like to close by reminding everybody to remember to work like you don't need the money, love like you've never been hurt, and dance like no one's watching you, and show up for the premiere. You just might see somebody in the movie. God bless until we have a chance to meet again. Take care.
God bless.
The Carl B. Phillips Show is produced by Carl B. Phillips for Prove Me Productions. For more information about Carl B. Phillips, visit carlbphillips.com. Subscribe to The Carl B. Phillips Show on YouTube or your favorite podcast outlet.